Oh, no.
Hey, it's John Santucci from the USA Today Network here, of course, with the stunning brilliance that is the great and wonderful Chris Boyle sitting in his vehicle at some location remotely.
Lake Brantley tonight.
Correct. That's what I was going to guess is Lake Brantley.
You can sort of see the sunset, which is nice, but you also have to see my head, which is take a pick.
Okay, so man, we got a great show tonight. So excited about our first guest, and I think every college in America right now seems like is excited about our first guest from Osceola High School, cornerback Jakeem Jackson. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How about you?
We're good. All right.
I
Hey,
love the orange hoodie, by the way. That's a choice.
Yeah, Tennessee.
I
Uh-oh.
could not pull that off. I'm just saying I couldn't.
Yeah.
Hey, walk us through last week because I mean your recruiting was already going really well, right? I mean you had a bunch of offers, you were getting a lot of love, and then all of a sudden, within about 24 hours, you got Alabama and Georgia. We were just
Yeah.
joking off air that you're getting an offer about every 15 minutes or so, I think, right now. So, but talk to us about those 24 hours. What was it like getting those two teams that just played for a national championship?
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing. Like I always wanted to play. I always wanted to get an offer from the schools when I was a little kid, cause I know they used to always go at it, like the SEC championship, the college finals. So yeah, it was a blessing to get the two best schools in college football. So yeah, I felt really good about that.
Can you walk us through the transition of going from wide receiver to DB? I know it's been a big change, but it's obviously produced quite a bit of results as far as the recruiting is concerned. Did you have any offers at receiver?
Yeah, I have some. I have some right now. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what's been the transition and playing defensive back? What have been the biggest things you've had to learn, and how much have you kind of grown in that spot?
Uh, from uh from from college coaches, they said like I have the good body frame, the height, the weight, the speed, the ball skills, and that I'm long. So they like what they see on film. I had a little summer film. I had caught like 3 picks in like 3 games, and I had like 3 PBUs. So I felt good about that. And then after they see my film, they just started rolling.
Now I was at Osceola yesterday. Full
Yeah.
disclosure. So you told me then that at first you weren't really all that enthusiastic about playing defensive back. So was there a particular voice or two that said, "Hey, look, this will really help you. This is a spot that you should at least give it a shot."
Oh yeah, I didn't like the towards the end of the season. Like I never thought I was gonna play it, but I just played it because my team needed me there, so I just played it. And then I remember Iowa State had called, and then they said I thought they was gonna offer me as a receiver, but they offered me as a safety. So I was like, dang, I probably got a shot to play defense at the next level. And then ever since then, I just started getting more offers at DB. So
Is anybody right now still recruiting you to play receiver, or does everybody want you at DB?
oh yeah, I have a school. I have Rutgers, and FAU. They want me
Okay.
to play receiver.
Do you still want to play receiver at all? I mean, is that something that's still important to you, or are you all in on defense now?
Nah, I ain't gonna play in college. Yeah.
Sorry, Rutgers. Okay, so
But they want me to play both if I go there, so it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right, so obviously the move has worked out well for you
Yeah,
playing defense.
very well.
I know you haven't released the top list yet, which makes a lot of sense because you're still getting more offers every day. But
Yeah.
do you know what you're looking for in a school? Do you know what's most important to you right now?
Yeah, I like a good relationship with the coach. Uh, I wanted to be just bigger than football. I wanted to be like academic wise, and I want them to be for me like in real world situations and stuff like that. I want to be able to like from 10 years now. I want to call the coach and say, "Oh, can you come to my wedding?" and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to build a great bond with a coach.
That's cool.
Yeah, yesterday was a big day for you as far as planning out your visits. You started announcing where you're going to go for your official visits. UCF, Penn State, Iowa State, Tennessee are the four in June that you've made public. I'm curious to know what's the process like in kind of deciding which schools to go to and the order in which they've been arranged. Like, how does maybe that sort of all fall into place?
Wait, y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody call. You can repeat the question.
Yeah. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I was saying you've announced your 4 of your official visits: UCF, Iowa State, Penn State, and Tennessee. I want to know kind of what led you to those schools, and what's the process you go to as far as not only picking which schools you want to go take an official visit to, but also the order of which dates you want to go visit them on.
Them schools I have a very, very good relationship, and that's what I like. And I like that each school I talk to, like, it's not just one coach talking to me. It's like defensive coordinator, safeties coach, sometimes the head coach, the safeties coach, D-line coach. So that's what I'm very excited about. Like, I just don't want, like, I like how not one coach just talked to me throughout this whole process. It's just like multiple coaches.
All right, so you just mentioned D-line coaches talking to you, which I can't imagine that you guys need a lot of help on the D-line. But, man, talk about Osceola's defense. How good do you guys think you're going to be this year?
Oh, I think it's going to be very good. You got me, Bo Masco, got the 2, John and Derek at the line. We have the Corey Walker back there. So I feel like we should be very good at the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, you got a couple household names, right? At least as far as recruiting guys go with John Walker, Derek, Bo, who you mentioned. Give me somebody that everybody's sleeping on that come the fall everybody's going to know about.
Bo Masco and the Corey Walker.
Why?
I feel like they're very underrated. They're both good players. They good personality on and off the field. So I feel like they're very slept on. So, yeah.
And then I want to ask you about one kid out of the 2025 class. That's Tavion Swin. He's on the other side of the ball, running back.
Oh, yeah.
But by the sounds of things, it looks like he's going to carry the load for you guys come the fall. What most impresses you about him as a young kid, and what do you think about his chances as far as shouldering that sort of workload for you?
He's a very good kid. He's very humble, and I like how he likes to compete at practice. So when the games come, it could be like more easier because like he's facing like one of the best defenses in the state almost every day. So we're only getting him better, and I'm very excited to see what he's gonna do this season.
For sure. All right, hey man, we are excited to see what you're gonna do, and really appreciate you jumping on, man. Congrats again about just how crazy your recruitment's been taking off for you.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Jakeem Jackson from Osceola, hands down one of the most exciting players in the state as far as recruiting goes, just watching him take off. And it was really fun just watching last week, just seeing him every 5 minutes or so putting out a new offer from a
this is a guy that I've spoken to a few coaches about, and they've raved about what they think he can be and what they with a full season's worth of tape at that position, I think you're going to see a really impactful player joining a secondary that's already got a few really good recruits, and playing behind a defensive line that's going to give you opportunities to catch an errant pass or two.
Yeah, if the quarterback can get a pass off, I think there will be some coming that will not look right.
Yeah.
1 second. Just want to see if our next guest is able to jump on. But we do have one guest here, so you know what? We're gonna little transition. So we're gonna bring in from Buchholz, athlete, Florida Gator. Can we say that now? Is that I guess it's not official yet, but it's close enough. Creed Whittemore, how you doing?
Shirt on, it's got to be official.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Chris. No, wait, hold on, Chris. What shirt are you wearing? Because I'm guessing you don't work for that company.
No, me? This is just your standard like button down. Like
All
I
right,
feel as
so
though I'm
I'm just
I'm
saying
overdressed for
anybody
the
can wear a
party.
shirt. Let's not go too deep. I am wearing a USA Today recruiting shirt, though. Just gotta say. All right, Creed. First of all, man, congratulations, Florida commit. For those of you who didn't see the post on Saturday, man, just awesome. Chris, we're gonna let you go first, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of the kind of the speculation as far as your decision kind of revolved around your family. Your
Yeah.
brother plays for UF, your dad played for UCF, so they've kind of constantly been the top two schools linked. So how much do those family ties really play at the end of the day, and how much is this about, what those coaching staffs and what those schools have to offer?
Yeah. Well, I think, I think I had nothing, obviously against UCF. Coach Malzahn runs a great program. They were always one of my top schools right when I got the offer. Let's see, that would have been last summer, actually around this time. But I think just going back to a year ago from about right now, when I started to go around the country, I think I would just go to all the venues, the big places, and I think I would just realize that I had the best school in the country, right in my backyard. That had the best venue, I believe, and one of the best coaching staffs. I think one of the best receiving coaches in the country. I think that played a big part. Family, Trent being there is obviously a plus. I tried not to make my decision totally off that. I think it came in more at the end. It probably played a factor more at the end than the beginning. But yeah, I think Trent being there is just more of a plus, icing on the cake, I would say, than being that main factor in my recruiting.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the timing of how quickly this came together? And I'm going to tell this story real quick, and I hope it's okay to tell this, and I'll find out later. But I was talking to your dad last Tuesday. You'd sent out the tweet, I think, Tuesday afternoon after practice, right, saying, hey, I'm going to announce 1 o'clock Saturday. And I called your dad, and we were talking. He said, oh, did he put a tweet out? I didn't even know he made his decision. So how quickly did that whole thing come together for you?
Yeah. Well, I think I gave myself, I wanted to make a decision before the end of June. Obviously, I did that a little bit before. I think I just realized, I was kind of running away from being that hometown kid a little bit, I think, and trying not to be maybe a little bit at the beginning, the kid that just goes to Florida. And I think I realized that it was the best thing for me. And we have a great coaching staff here in Gainesville. I think, like I said, one of the best in the country, and just realizing the significance again of Florida and like regaining that, just love for the people here that I maybe kind of lost in the recruiting process a little bit. I think that kind of came back, and just the love for the fan base and stuff.
So, as far as Florida in particular,
Yeah.
did you get the offer from Mullen's staff initially?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I got the offer.
Okay.
No, you got it. Yeah, I got the offer from Mullen's staff. From Mullen, that would have been the day after Friday Night Lights, which I can't remember when that was. I think July.
Okay. Well, I asked because, you got offered by Mullen's staff, then you also got re-offered by Napier and his staff. So did your opinion of Florida change, or how did you try to, connect with the new guys that were there after the original group was turned over?
Yeah, I think, I really enjoyed Coach Mullen's staff, and it was hard to see him leave. But, the new staff, I think I've started to grow great relationships. I think when Napier came in, and, I have a lot of respect for him for not coming in and just, throwing me an offer and telling me to come to camp. But he really evaluated me, and, took me for who I was, and not, just because Trent's there, just because my dad's a local coach. He really, saw me fit in his, offense, his program, and I think that definitely affected my decision.
You play quarterback at Buchholz. I think everybody who understands high school, who follows high school football, knows you as a quarterback. I think people who follow college football and recruiting know you as an athlete or a wide receiver. So talk about what that transition will be like, and how much have the Florida coaches talked to you about how they plan to use you?
Yeah. I think that transition won't be hard. I think if you're a great high school football player, you're gonna be at quarterback in some point in your career. If you play offense, running back, you'll be a wildcat receiver. You might throw a pass, or be back there at wildcat. So I think the transition won't be too hard. And I'm always playing receiver. In the summer. Right now I'm playing receiver in the spring for a little bit. Trying to get some of our young guys. There's some talented freshmen, trying to get them some reps. But I think the new staff just sees me as, like a punt returner, option route type guy, if you can kind of imagine that. Coach Napier compared me to like Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, those type guys, if you can kind of imagine that player and, the routes they ran, that type of scheme.
That's so funny because Chris and I were talking about you yesterday, and that was the name that came up, was Edelman, right? A guy who played high school quarterback and
college quarterback too. I think at Kent State.
And the athleticism though to play in the slot,
Yeah.
So, all right, I got to ask you this: you got a big man on campus that I'm a huge fan of in Gavin Hill. How much are you now recruiting him to stay home and go to Florida?
Yeah. Gavin's one of my close friends. Our relationship kind of brought him to Buchholz throughout middle school. So I've always been close to him. I definitely would want to see him in the orange and blue for sure. I think that'd be pretty cool to play, middle school, high school, and college together. But he's taken his decision maybe a little bit slower, which I respect. He's feeling everybody out and seeing what people can offer, and I think he's definitely taken his recruitment. I think in a way that people respect, especially coaches. He's not shooting down anybody. He's keeping everybody in his options, which I can respect.
For sure. All right.
I want to ask one more thing. You're the second wide receiver, to commit to this to this Florida class, along with Tyree Patterson and Eustace. Have you got an idea of how many receivers they want to take, or like what sort of priority that position is, and how you guys all fit together scheme wise and with different skill sets?
Yeah, I'm actually not quite sure how many receivers they're going to take. I think I'll probably be one of the only slot guys, maybe one more kid in the slot, and then probably like 3 to 4 outside guys, I would imagine. I could be off there. I need to probably ask Coach KC, but I think obviously Tyree will be a really talented outside guy. I think he's got good ball skills. He's obviously fast and lanky, so I think he'll definitely be a good addition to our offense. But I don't see us playing the same position. I think I'll be more like a YH guy, and he'll be like an X or Z guy.
For sure. Creed, man, so happy for you getting to stay home and just, continuing to rep Gainesville. So congrats on your decision and best of luck. Man, you got a whole season left. So best of luck this season.
Yes, sir. We're chasing that state ring. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Creed Whittemore. Not just
they were so close. And you got to think with Aquinas out of the way now, like, They might have that ring on their finger soon enough. They were really close last year. They were one of the better teams I saw.
Yeah, really good team. Obviously, really well coached, dynamic, quarterback. Obviously with Creed and they got more than Gavin on that defensive line. They have a big defensive line. They got guys that have that can get after it. But obviously, the big question mark is how do you replace Quan Lee? And I don't know that you do. There's a guy who's at your alma mater now at UCF. So. Kind of who steps into that, that number one receiver spot for them, because he demanded so much of your attention. When you game plan, you have to talk about Quan Lee all the time.
You
So
also have to kick the ball away from him because he hurt teams on the punt return very, very badly too.
absolutely. And the funny thing, Quan was so much fun to cover, or to cover. I mean, by watching, I would be horrified at having to cover him. He would love it because it would just be like one step and I'd fall down. But man, if he made a catch, it was spectacular. If he didn't make a catch, the referee missed something. Like, he's just that kind of guy that's like, if I don't catch the ball, it's because there was a force of nature working against me. I just either you love that or you hate it. And I just found it hilarious that there was always a reason why the ball did not go where it was supposed to go. So, yeah, really, really good player. All right. So obviously Creed, one of two guys. We have at least one or two more guests that we're waiting for. So we're just going to chat for a couple minutes. But Creed is one of two Florida guys that committed on Saturday. Obviously, I think right before he announced, or maybe right at the same time, Kanijah Harris, big man out of IMG, probably going to be a center or a guard for the Gators. He committed on Saturday as well, another in-state guy. So, and he's obviously from the Treasure Coast, where I used to covered him as a freshman. To give you an idea of the kind of talent he had, he was a freshman starting left tackle on a Centennial team that was a playoff team. So, really good talent. You could see it right away. So,
yeah, and I think the big thing for UF, they're really starting to break through and get some kids out of IMG Academy. That's been a dead zone for them for some time now. But between him and Kamari Wilson, back in what was it, in December? Or was he a February guy?
Yes, he was a December signing.
He was a December. Yeah, he was a December guy. So that's been a real problem spot for Florida. They're getting beat to the punch by your Clemsons and Alabamas and Georgias there, among others. Now they've kind of started to wiggle back into the picture and pull out some really top end talent from arguably the best.
All right, now,
best program in the country.
Chris, let me ask you a question though, because you just brought up two guys, two really good, talented players, but they are both in-state guys, right?
Yep.
I mean, Kamari Wilson, Fort Pierce kid, Kanijah Harris, Port St. Lucie originally. So I was just talking about this with somebody else yesterday. You and I have had we've written this story. The top players in Florida are not staying in Florida the last couple of years. They're going to, like you said, Clemson, Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia. These schools are raiding the state of Florida. But when you look at the top of our list, there's a lot of IMG kids in there. Not a lot of Florida kids are at IMG. These are kids from all over the country. So how much of the fact that the top kids are leaving Florida is because we have so many out-of-state kids that are at IMG? And how much of it is that, look, the reality is Florida, Miami, Florida State have all had coaching turnovers in the last couple of years. None of them have won a championship in a couple of years. Or is it a combination, all the above?
I mean, I've always kind of evaluated IMG a little bit differently than, say, any other high school in the state, because, they're not equitable. I mean, you're getting kids in there for a year or two from wherever across the country, and they're going there to train, get stronger, get faster, and focus solely on football, whereas the other kids are native born or, Florida born, Florida raised. So I've always evaluated a little differently. I think the bigger picture is just the lack of success for Florida State, and for and I think a lot of it has to go down to the recruiting choices too. There's been a lot of turnover. You've seen different cycles and different methodology in place as far as where they want to recruit, where they want to pull kids from. And you're seeing right now between Malzahn, Cristobal, Norvell, maybe slightly to a lesser degree, but definitely from what you've seen so far from Napier, is that they really do want to hammer the state. I think there's, and certainly within the greater portions of their area, because it's not going to be acceptable if a top athlete from Gainesville goes anywhere else but UF, and vice versa. There's always questions to be asked down in Miami if a 5-star player doesn't end up in Coral Gables. So I think as those programs have kind of hitched their wagons to new coaches that have said all the right things and done some of them to this point, maybe you start to see that change.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Like you said, one, can you build a fence around your area, right? Obviously, Napier was able to do that by getting Creed Whittemore, who really watched his recruiting just take off the last 2 or 3 months. You've talked at length about what does UCF call that their territory?
State of Orlando.
State of Orlando, but they've done a good job. Last year, they did an outstanding job recruiting that area, right? They've already got Cave and Call. I don't know that Nixon fits into that geography, does he?
Right.
He doesn't, does he? But
not exactly.
Look,
but
another guy who's right outside there.
Post somebody out of Tampa. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. This is a good stat, though. This is kind of what I was talking about. This is kind of an area that I was talking about, though. I'm looking at the stat that was posted by Zach Goodall, who covers the Gators for Fan Nation and Sports Illustrated. IMG Academy opened its football program in 2013. From then through November 2021, Florida failed to land a single prospect from IMG, and Napier's done it twice in 6 months. So, I mean, it is a big part of the state. It's not necessarily, like I said, this equitable as far as are they really Florida kids, but it is a school in Florida that your best some of your best athletes in the country are attending. So you better have some sort of entry point.
And look, Florida State got their quarterback last year from IMG. 2 years ago, they got a big outside receiver from IMG. So, the fact that this recruiting ground is in your backyard, you've got to get out there and you got to make sure that you're at least trying to get these kids. Let me ask you one more thing while we're waiting for our next guest. There's a report out that the NCAA's oversight committee is recommending that there be no limits to the signing class for a 2-year period. You and I have talked a little bit about that the last kind of 24 hours, but what are your kind of initial thoughts on no signing class limits for a 2-year period? Potentially, by the way, I don't think this is official yet.
Yeah, I mean, anything to me that gives more high school kids an opportunity is good. And there will be a trickle down effect. I still think you're seeing far too many grab and gets out of the portal. And I think that's kind of the bigger elephant in the room where, guys with 4 years, 3-4 years of eligibility are still out there that are fully developed maybe not fully developed, but have gone through a year of strength and conditioning that are there to be had for coaches that have to win now. The cycle of building a program is a lot shorter, and the leashes are a lot shorter. There's too much money in the game to where you can afford to give a coach 3 or 4 years to implement a plan to completely build something from the foundation all the way to the top. So I don't know. I mean, I have my doubts about its true effectiveness from just giving more kids an opportunity. But if it does, I mean, obviously you want as many kids to have a chance to play at the next level as possible.
Yeah, listen, I love the idea of more kids, especially high school kids, getting an opportunity, especially because we've been constantly saying how much the transfer portal is killing high school recruiting, right? So the idea of more kids getting an opportunity, I like. Again, does that just mean you're going to see more kids coming out of the portal than it does high school football recruits, first of all? Second of all, I think we need a little more information on how this exactly is going to work. I would imagine that you'd still have an 85 scholarship limit. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not like Alabama is going to go out and sign 95 kids, in this class. But it's going to be interesting to watch. All right, we have our next guest. This is a guy we've been trying to get on for a couple of weeks. So I'm really glad that
So you've cut yourself off mid-sentence to make sure it happens. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, because I don't want him jumping out and being like, oh, I got a baseball game to go to, or I'm not feeling good, or I've got to, shampoo my goatee, whatever it is. So we're real excited to get this guy, Nease quarterback, Marcus Stokes, Penn State commit. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
Good. I got to
doing
say,
good.
we've invited you on, and you've committed to come on more than any other guest we've ever had. So it's good to finally see your face on the screen.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
All right.
He just hopped. I just found this out because I just talked to him a few minutes ago. He just hopped out of an ice bath. So he's
How you
wired.
feeling?
He's ready to go.
I don't hit at practice, but we had leg day today in the weight room, so I had
All right, so let's start with this, man. You committed to Penn State about a month ago. Talk a little bit about why you chose Penn State.
I mean, you know, from the minute I stepped in, the first visit I took on my junior day, I can't remember the date, but you know, it really just felt like really welcoming. You know, straight love from the coaches. It was crazy. It just felt really nice to be there, and you know, I kept wanting to go back there. And then so, you know, sooner or later on my second unofficial visit there, I made it official.
I was going to ask you about your second visit because you went there once and obviously you liked it a lot. How did things kind of feel differently, or maybe what sort of emotions stirred up to where you knew this is where you had to be the second time around?
So
I think you just got a text. You still there, man?
We can't hear what he's saying.
Marcus, if you got a text, just nod your head because that might kick you out.
Or a phone call.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. All right.
We're going to remove you and just log back in.
Yeah, log out and log back in because sometimes we'll do on the phone.
Going to hand signals.
We've become so
yeah, this is how that glitch works.
Used to that glitch, so we know exactly how to diagnose it now.
Oh,
we're like StreamYard mechanics at this point.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but yeah.
It's a thing. That's all it is, John. It's a thing.
By the way, just appreciate your commitment to the show because the sun has set behind you for quite some time now.
It has. Fortunately, there are still cars in the parking lot, so the game I'm covering is not over yet, it appears.
all right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Dude,
we can.
my friends were trying to get me in a group FaceTime call, so
we have learned over the about 6 months of hosting this show on StreamYard that if somebody calls you and you're using a phone, the sound drops out and doesn't come back. So
that what happened?
Yeah, hopefully nobody else needs to talk to you for at least another few minutes.
And that was getting a little annoying. They kept spamming it even though I canceled it. But Is that gonna affect like the live stream?
Oh, we'll make it work, man. No, it'll be fine.
All right, sweet.
All right, I think Chris had just asked you about.
You were asking about kind of the other schools that had.
Oh, did I ask the question?
Yeah, it was your turn.
Oh, my bad. All right, here we go. What other schools were you really considering? Who else had made a strong impression on you?
You know, I really was liking Virginia Tech. I was looking forward on my trip to visiting their school, you know. I also liked Ole Miss. Ole Miss hasn't offered me, or they didn't offer me at all, but they said that they were going to come and take a good look at me during the spring. So hopefully that would lead with an offer. But I just committed to Penn State. So, you know, I shut down my recruitment right after I did. It's not even that they wanted me to. I just knew right from the jump that, you know, I was going to go to Penn State. So.
On that note, having shut it down and you've made it pretty clear that that's what you want to do. So how have you kind of treated the spring evaluation period? Because obviously there's still going to be coaches that are going to come wanting to see you and make their pitch and try to get you off of that. So how have you kind of treated the last few weeks?
So I've made it pretty clear to all the coaches, you know, they would always hit me up in advance telling me, like Miami, for example, you know, they hit me up in advance telling me that that Coach Ponce was going to come down and see me throw during practice. So I was like, yeah, man, I mean, come do what you need to do. But, you know, I let them know in advance that I was 100% like committed to Penn State, that I'm going there. And so he was like, yeah, I'm still going to follow through my plan. So I was like, okay. So I'm not going to be disrespectful to the guy. You know, if he has I'm gonna let him do his thing. And it was good seeing him too. He's a great guy still. Our relationship hasn't changed. I mean, sometimes I talk to him, but I shook his hand, said what's up, and but they just already know that I'm committed and that I'm going to Penn State.
Yeah,
Sure.
You threw for well over 2,500 yards last year, and you rushed for nearly 500. But your recruitment really skyrocketed
Yes, sir.
after going to San Antonio in January for the National Combine. How did things really kind of take a turn there, and what sort of factor did that play? Maybe what did schools see at that particular event that they didn't either verified or they didn't see on film before?
I mean, I think what really verified my skills was that I was on my game. Like when I was in San Antonio, like that was probably the best show out at any showcase that I've ever had.
Wow.
So I don't
Timing.
I don't blame all the coaches hopping on so fast, because right when I at the end of my showing, I felt great. I went up to my dad, I gave him a hug, like, dude, I just killed it. And I go on my Twitter and I see 20 posts of 247 and everybody retweeting it. So I'm like, oh God, now it's starting. So, that's just really what happened in San Antonio, was just me being myself and doing my thing. And it helped out a lot, as you can see.
John, I don't want to cut you up. I'm curious to kind of follow up on that. When your phone starts blowing up like that, and people that have never heard of you are all of a sudden reaching out to you or whatnot, how are you kind of able to handle that sudden rush of fame or notoriety or whatever you want to call it?
At first I was like, holy crap, dude. I had to ask my dad and all my coaches. I was like, dude, I don't know. I'm getting so overwhelmed right now. And my brain's going 1,000 different places, real fast. And, but it also felt good, once I got that first offer from Western Carolina, and, that's really the offer that kicked it all off for me. And, but once I got that first offer, just congratulations. Just we knew you would do it, and we knew you'd make it. So it just felt really good.
That's awesome. Hey,
shout
Chris,
out to Catamounts, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Chris just mentioned your stats from last year. Obviously, you guys made it to the regional finals, but you graduated some really good receivers, right? You got a tight end going to UCF. You got a wide receiver going to BYU, I think. Chris, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Who do you think will be stepping up at receiver this year that maybe people don't know about, and kind of explain why you think that those guys will be?
Well, we had last year at our slot, we had a starting junior receiver. His name was Devon Patterson, or his name is Devon Patterson. And the thing about Devon is he's got great hands, great speed, probably one of the fastest kids I've ever thrown to, maybe even faster than who knows. But I mean, they've raced a couple times. Dom had him one time, Devon had him the other, and it was a tie in the third. But anyways, Devon's I'm gonna need him to step up a lot this year. And I think he will, because, he's had that taste of varsity, and he's had that taste of the fast game and all of that. So I think he's going to do really well for us this year. Two other receivers I think that are going to help out is Gavin Gaminer. For some part of the year last year, he had to step up because Grant got hurt during the summer. So we couldn't have Grant, and we had to substitute him for Gavin. So, Gavin came in clutch in a couple of games. He made some big time catches, made some big time plays. But he also got that varsity taste. And so, I think that Gavin's going to be a really big asset to this team this year. And the other one. Go ahead. You go.
I was going to say, I thought you'd been done. I'm sorry. It was a little bit of a delay.
No,
last thought for me was just on your dad, Kevin. He was a coach for more than 2 decades, and I know he's been pretty much at every event that I've ever been around at Nice to this point. So what sort of influence has he been on you, and in what ways what are some of the messages that have most stuck with you from him over the years?
He's said a lot of messages, a lot of encouraging quotes to me. I can't name them all, but, one thing that really sticks out to me is that he's not only my father. It's like he's my coach as well. Not even just a coach on the football field, but a really good coach like in life. And he teaches me about a lot of things to overcoming adversity. When something punches you in the mouth, you gotta punch back, like stuff like that. And that's also helped me on the field. And taking what I've learned from him just being a life coach and applying it onto the field has helped me a lot. But during this whole recruiting thing, actually, like ever since I started playing football when I was 5 years old, playing flag football, he's always been by my side. And, I'm really grateful for him.
And with that, we will be recording this again for our Father's Day tribute in a couple weeks. All right. Marcus, it was so good to finally have you on the show, man. We appreciate you jumping out of the ice bath for us. And, man, just good luck this season, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Marcus Stokes, man. All right. Finally, we've had Marcus on the show. We've been waiting to do. Chris has been working on that for, man, what, about a month now? So
yeah,
we were
just
able to do that.
One of those
just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, two ships passing in the night.
We have another guest that is now steadily rising on our board of we can't seem to make the time work, but we will keep trying. Chris, it was good to see you again, my friend. Appreciate you.
Before we go, I just wanted to touch real quick on we had 3 top announcements here coming up this past weekend. We had Tyler Williams over at Lakeland at a top 10. Is that right?
Mother's Day card, yeah.
Yeah, the Mother's Day card. Sharif Denson of Bartram Trails down to 5, and Braden Marshall of Lake Mary just about 3 hours before we recorded dropped his top 10, all with the USA Today network. And I'm curious on his birthday. Yeah. So we have a Mother's Day card. We got a birthday celebration. And then we just, we have Sharif. Sharif did his top 5 and he was ready to go. Yeah. He was on our show once and he was fantastic. I'm curious to know like what your impressions of those 3 guys and kind of the choices they have to make.
Look, you look at those lists. There's not a bad decision in there, right? Look, we've said all along that the state of Florida this year is about as deep as we've ever seen it. You've got 3 guys that are all talented. It's cool when you talk to not only their coach but coaches in their area and they rave about the players. When you hear other coaches talking about, you and I were talking last week. There was somebody near Braden who was really complimentary of him, who's not usually complimentary of opposition players. So these guys are all super talented players. Tyler Williams is such a big outside target, right? At 6'4". Yeah. He's got a really strong list. I love that somebody who covers USF was like, man, this is a really good company to be in when you look at his list. A rare win for them recruiting wise. Yeah, but you know what though? I think there's a lot of value that we don't talk a lot about being the first to the table and the first to show interest. And it's been what I've noticed over the last maybe just 48 hours thinking about that is I'm seeing a lot of first offers coming from USF and a lot of first offers coming from Pitt right now. Yep. And some of that just is they happen to be here right now. But I think these are also 2 programs. I know Pitt's done a great job in the state of Florida. They especially in South Florida with the connections that they have down there. So
those things do resonate. I talk to enough people and they do resonate being the first. I mean, hell, Marcus Stokes
give a shout out to
Western Carolina. I'm telling you, kids do not forget their first offers. Right. They may forget their 15th offer and they, unless you're the school, a finalist or the school that you end up commuting to, there's a chance you'll fall by the wayside. But kids do not forget where their first offer came from, where their first opportunity came from.
No, for sure. I was at a school today and I don't want to say which school it was, but there was a FBS program there and they were talking to a kid after and he said, well, how many offers do you have? And he said the number and he said, well, now you have one more. And that was how he offered him. I don't know if he'll remember that one. He will remember his first. That you remember your first offer. So I think USF being first, that one of the first teams, if not the first for Tyler, was a big deal. Sharif is such, he just, he's the total package, for me. He's got good ball skills. He's fast. And I like those, he's just got that attitude of a top corner, like I remember talking to him last year and he was covering somebody and the guy caught a pass and there was like, it just, he wouldn't give him an inch of credit on that catch. It was like, well, here's what he didn't do or whatever. And it's just such that alpha mindset.
It's confidence that flirts with arrogance, but I wouldn't call it that.
No, but he's just a really good cover corner.
Having gotten to know him and cover him a bit, he's a kid that's, a really interesting analytical kid to talk to. I think
he's definitely thinking through what's going on. He's
playing chess when a lot of guys are not. He's a few moves ahead when it comes to the way he thinks, and that applies to not only his approach as a corner, but also his approach as in this recruiting process. And I think his Final Five is really fascinating.
Right.
When I first talked to him, it sounded like Florida and Florida State were miles ahead, but no, he's going to really consider the out-of-state route. And I think South Carolina really opened his eyes, and
Ohio State talked to us about that, right? Yeah, on the show.
Ohio State and A&M. Those are two just preeminent powers, and they both are very well regarded in their development, and I know that's something that's important to him. Braden Marshall, I think, is. That's a really interesting case. There's a lot of teams that want him for a lot of different spots. Mostly kind of in that nickel area because of his height. But I think when it comes down to it, I think you've got. I think he probably will stay in the East. My guess. Some of the schools I think he really likes. Clemson. He's been there. He's been to North Carolina. He's been to UCF. He's been to. Pittsburgh already. It was that UCF and Pitt were basically the first two schools in after him, and kind of the dark horse might be Nebraska. He's been out there. He spoke glowingly of the fan base that made an impression on him in his commitment or his top 10 list. He spoke very highly of that. That's one of the more loyal fan bases in the country. So I think that does hold some weight, and of course. They've still got plenty of Florida ties out there as well.
And he's another guy, we talked to Marcus Stokes about how he blew up after the combine. Braden Marshall blew up after they played Lake Gibson, and he did such a good job against, Sam McCall and company. And he just put on the film and he stands out. And it's not just that game, by the way, certainly. He had an outstanding season. You are, literally right down the road from him, at least when you're at home. But, just
I'm right down the road now. That's only about 15 minutes from here.
How far are you when you're at your house, though?
Driving or walking?
Take your pick.
Driving, walking, riding a bike,
falling
jogging.
Over.
Yeah.
So, just, again, a really talented player, really good guy. These are all guys that we've spent time with, and they're good kids, right? We're talking about high academic kids. So, to be able to, just play a real small part in them announcing, where their top lists are, it's been a lot of fun, and it's an honor for us. I know I speak for you as well when I say that for us to be trusted with that kind of, information is not something we take lightly. So
and I think a lot of it has to do with the relationship building. With Sharif and with Braden, these are kids I've gotten to know over the course of almost a year now, to the better part of 10 months. So, I think that's kind of the fun part in it too, is really getting to know these kids. And these are things that we weren't able to do for a while. That doesn't get lost on me that for all of 2020, it was, you're there when you're there, you get what you need to get out. Right. And now it's more like, okay, now it feels more normal. You can kind of actually really kind of spend entire weeks on the road and different parts of the state to go check out a whole bunch of teams and make those connections. And for me, it's mostly been in my coverage area, but I've dipped over to Orange County, Osceola County, Seminole County, the surrounding areas, and been able to see some things as well. And I think as we go, we'll have more of a reach. I think it'll be a little bit more we'll be able to do it more often.
For sure. All right, man. We're gonna let you go home, but appreciate your
I guess the
commitment.
game's still going. Actually, there's not been much movement as far as the cars in here. And when I got into the car, it was 8-0. So I thought, okay, this might be a short night at the ballpark, but I might be in need to rush back over there and make sure I'm not missing anything.
Like a little Mets comeback. I know you're loving your Mets right now. So congrats on that, by the way. That game was insane.
Yeah, it was.
All right, man. We'll talk to you. See you next week.
All right, have a good week.
All right, bye.